Number 10. Mata Mata Turtle. The Mata Mata turtle is probably the weirdest turtle in the world. This thing comes from deep in the Amazon basin of South America, as well as the Orinoco basin, and it is an extremely dangerous creature. Don't let its bizarre appearance fool you. It has a leaf-shaped head and a flat shell, and it's very good at blending into the foliage that rests at the bottom of shallow streams, but it is an absolute killing machine. The Mata Mata turtle can grow to be roughly 20 inches in length, and they have an extra long neck that they use for reaching out and sucking up fish whenever they pass by. This is called suction feeding, and the Mata Mata turtle does this because it can't physically chew. It simply vacuums its prey into its mouth and then swallows them whole. So, maybe this turtle isn't that dangerous to humans, but it is still a menace to fish and other wildlife who make use of the streams and currents in South American jungles. Number 9. Komodo Dragon. Let's move on to something a little more threatening. The Komodo Dragon is the biggest and meanest dragon that we currently have on our planet. These things are huge, they have horrible attitudes, and they are basically mini Godzilla babies that are not afraid to attack humans. The best example of this comes from a 2017 report from the BBC when a tourist was attacked by a Komodo dragon whilst visiting Indonesia. Park rangers at the time said that the incident was the first to have happened in the last 5 years. Imagine being the only moron to get attacked by a Komodo dragon in 5 years. How embarrassing. Out of all the lizards in the world, Komodo dragons are the biggest, and they have extremely venomous bites. We used to think that they were venomous because of their saliva, but it turns out they have a venom gland in their mouth like the Gila monster. The fellow who was bitten was a 50-year-old guy from Singapore who had allegedly ignored the warnings about not getting too close to the dragons to take photographs. He was bitten on the leg while trying to take a picture and had to be rushed by a military speedboat to the nearest medical centre. This is less a story about a dangerous reptile and more a story about more people getting injured trying to take risky photographs for social media. It's basically a big +1 for evolution. Would you get close to a Komodo dragon, or any of these reptiles? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're new here. We have lots more videos coming up. Number 8. King Cobra. King cobras are ridiculously dangerous. There are some lizards on this list because lizards are cool and everyone likes talking about them, but even the mighty Komodo dragon has nothing on a king cobra. These snakes are feared for a very good reason. They have enough poison in their fangs to give you a fatal bite. One quick chomp from a king cobra will give you serious pain, problems with your vision, difficulty swallowing or speaking, respiratory failure, vomiting, horrendous pain in your abdomen, and even necrosis. The quickest you will die, according to the University of Michigan, is just 30 minutes. This makes the king cobra perhaps the worst pet on the planet. You can identify a king cobra easily enough because of its ridiculously huge size. These cobras can grow to be almost 20 feet in length. When they rise in the air to bite, you can immediately see the wide hood that gives the cobra its trademark look. Oh yeah, and there are actually many different kinds of cobras besides just the king cobra. For example, there is a spitting cobra that grows to be 9 feet and can spit venom in your face. Number 7. Saltwater Crocodile. The saltwater crocodile is definitely a reptile you don't want to mess with. In fact, staring directly into the jaws of a crocodile would probably be the last thing you ever saw. Their powerful jaws are able to snap your bones like twigs. For many people, the possibility of being savaged by a crocodile is just part of daily life. However, crocodiles don't set out to hunt people specifically. The problem with crocodiles is that according to the BBC, anything that moves within close proximity to a crocodile is fair game. Not only do they hunt in the water, but they will wander out on land looking for food. If you happen to be a human close to a hungry crocodile, you are going to be seen as dinner. Just in Africa alone, there are a few hundred crocodile attacks on people every year. Of course, most of these take place in small communities and are not typically reported. You are unlikely to be attacked by a crocodile in the middle of a busy street. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of all these attacks proved fatal. And to be honest, you would probably be better off fighting a shark. Number 6. Alligator Snapping Turtle. When it comes to your fingers, the alligator snapping turtle is probably the most dangerous reptile. These turtles can't kill you, but if you are silly enough to try and pick one up, it could very well bite off your nose or bite off your finger. These reptiles are extremely large, with the largest one on record being a resident of the Shed Aquarium in Chicago and weighing nearly 250 pounds. According to Mental Floss, the biggest ever reported was 403 pounds and found in Kansas, but it was never properly confirmed. Alligator snapping turtles don't like people. They make it their business to stay clear of humans. The biggest problems arise on land when silly people try to snap photographs with them or pick them up and take them home. In 2014, a study discovered that there are in fact 3 different species of alligator snapping turtles, and each one of them has the power to bite off your nose. One more interesting fact is that these turtles have a special appendage inside their mouths that kind of looks like a pink worm, and they use it to attract fish directly into their jaws. Talk about the laziest hunting method ever. They literally draw their food directly into their faces. Number 5. Gila monster. The Gila monster is definitely not as threatening as the Komodo dragon or the saltwater crocodile, but it is still a poisonous monster that is best avoided. In fact, there are 2 types of venomous lizards in North America, the Gila monster and the Mexican bearded lizard. Both of these reptiles have thick bodies, short and stubby limbs, and hang out in the deserts of the United States and Mexico. The Gila monster in particular is very attractive. It's quite colourful, but unfortunately they have a really bad attitude. They won't typically bite unless they are handled, but if you're stubborn enough to play with one, you could be in for a pretty miserable day. The Gila lizard bites with incredible strength, and once it clamps down on your limbs, it doesn't let go. Instead, the lizard will only bite harder, ripping apart all of your tissue while the toxins in its saliva drip into your wound. The most general symptoms of being bitten by a Gila monster include unstoppable sweating, a hard time breathing, severe nausea and vomiting, and dizziness. You probably won't die, but you might have an unfortunate allergic reaction which could spell disaster. Number 4. Black Mamba. The black mamba is one of the most dangerous reptiles in the world, and by many experts is considered to be the world's deadliest snake. They are found only in Africa and are luckily very shy creatures. They never seek out human interaction, making them less likely to bite you. But if you do get bit, their venom is 100% lethal. What's really interesting about the black mamba is that they are not actually black. These snakes are typically dark brown, with the only black parts being the inside of their mouths. They are believed to cause the most snake-related deaths in all of southern Africa, with the most recent case being a South African judge who got bit by one and then died while travelling to Zambia. Unfortunately, the data for exactly how many attacks there are each year is limited, and this is mostly because the majority of deaths occur in rural parts of Africa where there is not much in terms of health infrastructure. The black mamba itself is born with about 2 drops of venom in each fang, but by the time it becomes an adult, it will have between 12 and 20 drops in each fang. How much does it take to kill a human? The answer is only 2 drops of venom. That means it delivers far more venom into your system than is needed to kill you, which is one of the reasons it is so dangerous. Number 3. Black Caiman. The black caiman is kind of like a crocodile and kind of like an alligator. Well, it's more like an alligator. It's a unique animal that lives in the Amazon rainforest and is extremely elusive. Of course, this reptile is carnivorous, and it's not something you would want to mess with. There are 6 distinct species of the caiman, with the largest being the black caiman. This reptile can grow to be roughly 15 feet long and is identifiable by its dark black colour. It's native only to Central and South America and is way bigger than any alligators anywhere else in the world. They are fantastic swimmers, they are extremely sneaky, and the only natural predators they have in the wild are anacondas. That's not even really fair, as anacondas are really at the top of the food chain globally. Nobody messes with the anaconda. The only time a black caiman can be hunted is when it's a baby. Luckily, each female will lay up to 40 eggs at a time, so even if some are eaten, there are at least a few that will grow to be enormous enough that they could eat you for dinner. Number 2. Green anaconda. The king cobra may be the longest venomous snake in the world, but it really doesn't even compare to the glorious green anaconda. Green anacondas are the largest snakes on the planet without dispute. These things are massive. And yes, they can eat humans. It's been known to happen. One of the best tips to adhere to when travelling in the Amazon jungle is to never stand by yourself at the side of a river, as an anaconda can come from nowhere and eat you whole without a second thought. It's always recommended to stand with another person so you look too big to eat. Wherever you go near a big river in the jungle, you can be pretty certain there's an anaconda watching you. While we all know these snakes are extremely dangerous, what you might not know is that anacondas have invaded the United States of America. Thanks to people collecting these snakes as pets and then letting them loose, as well as the illegal animal trade, they have begun to thrive in the Florida Everglades. So, you might not need to go very far to find one. Number 1. Tree crocodile. There is a reptile known as the tree crocodile, and it is an absolute menace. It's more commonly known as the crocodile monitor, and it's recognised as being one of the longest lizards on Earth. It has an extremely long head and neck, a very thick tail that is twice longer than its body, and it's recognisable because of its yellow and green dots. It has super strong claws and ultra sharp teeth. These lizards can weigh up to 200 pounds, and you typically find them hanging out in the trees. It's basically like a miniature crocodile that can leap on you from an overhead branch. I mean, it's pretty unlikely that one would be so inclined to jump at you from the air, but I'm just saying, it could happen. Crocodile monitors use their sturdy tails for balance, kind of like monkeys while they climb through the trees, and they are actually the only other reptile other than snakes that have forked tongues. The good news is that tree crocodiles don't really pose a threat to humans. Still, they are very dangerous to other animals in the forest. Also, according to SeaWorld, they only live in Papua New Guinea, so you'll probably never meet one in your lifetime. Number 10. Squid bomb. What is the last thing you would expect to find inside of a squid? The correct answer is a bomb. A fishmonger in China made a bizarre discovery after finding a small 3-pound explosive inside of a squid he had probably been trying to eat. The bomb was rusty and old, but apparently it remained operational. Authorities figured it was likely dropped by a fighter jet and subsequently gobbled down by the squid. In all likelihood, the squid probably thought it was just a piece of food and simply swallowed it. The squid was caught in very shallow waters off the coast of China and then brought to a local fish market with the bomb still inside it, but it wasn't until the squid was being prepared that the bomb was found. After the discovery was made, authorities were alerted and they came to take the bomb away. Then they safely got rid of it using a controlled explosion. This is definitely one of the most bizarre things ever found in an animal. How the bomb was swallowed by a squid and never accidentally exploded through all of its travels is a bit of a mystery. Number 9. Arm in a shark. The story of the arm in the shark is a classic. It's a pretty long story too, so let's start at the beginning. It all began when a giant shark inside the Georgia Aquarium in Australia spat out a partially digested human arm. Visitors at the aquarium were obviously a little shocked, and authorities quickly took interest. The shark had only been caught the day before and then placed inside of the pool, and the first thought was that the shark had eaten somebody. Upon further investigation, authorities discovered that the limb had a very specific tattoo on it, and there was even a rope tied around the wrist. The arm was identified very quickly because of the distinctive tattoo. There were only 2 such tattoos in the Sydney area. One of the tattoos was still attached to a living body, and the second tattoo belonged to a man who had not been seen in several weeks. Further inspections of the arm revealed that it was not eaten by a shark. It had actually been cut off with a blade. This meant the authorities had a murder on their hands. While we don't have time to go over all the absurd details of what followed, the mysterious arm in the shark basically set off a string of violent incidents, with nobody ever being arrested for murder. The rest of the body was never found, no convictions were ever placed, and that's the end of the story. Number 8. Dog eats knife. Every dog owner's nightmare is that their 4-legged friend will eat something they're not supposed to and have some serious medical problems. But what do you do when your dog swallows a chef's knife? This is what happened with a small puppy named Macy in Scotland. The story starts when the dog's owner became concerned because Macy was vomiting and choking violently. The owner immediately took the dog to the veterinarian, who then took X-ray photos and found a giant knife lodged inside of the dog. This was no small knife either. It was 8 inches long and the poor pupper was only 12 weeks old. The veterinarian figured the dog must have swallowed the handle first, otherwise the blade would have pierced her organs and caused fatal injury. The owner of the dog had no idea how she could have possibly gotten a hold of the knife, never mind gotten it all the way into her stomach. Thankfully, they were able to remove the knife with surgery and the dog survived the horrifying incident. Macy will live on to be a healthy adult dog. Number 7. Coins in a turtle. A poor turtle in Thailand recently needed to have 900 coins removed from its stomach. As reported by The Guardian, the 25-year-old green sea turtle was swallowing money thrown into her pool by selfish tourists trying to get some good luck. This is a popular superstition, especially in many Asian countries, but it turned into a rather unlucky endeavour for the unfortunate turtle. In 2017, veterinarians in Bangkok had to operate on the female green turtle to remove approximately 915 coins from her stomach. Basically, in Thailand, a lot of people believe that throwing a coin onto a turtle will bring longevity. In this one particular pond, the sea turtle was eating the coins that people were throwing onto her, and eventually they formed a giant ball of metal in the turtle's stomach. The weight of all these coins cracked her shell and caused life-threatening injuries. I am happy to say that the turtle survived the surgery and will hopefully live a long and healthy life going forward. Sea turtles can live for around 80 years, so she still has more than half her life ahead of her. Number 6. Alligator and python. What happens when a Burmese python and an alligator battle to the death? Well, you can see the result in these astonishing X-ray photographs. The Burmese python is definitely going to win the battle. While both are formidable predators, the python is simply too powerful and too sneaky to lose a fight with an alligator. This particular incident was captured at the University of Alabama, and it's pretty clear that the python swallowed the entire alligator. That's definitely one way to dominate your opponent. What's really interesting is that scientists at the University of Alabama studied what happens to a snake's body after it swallows such a large meal. This particular python was around 10 feet long, and scientists found that as soon as it swallows something so large, its organs actually begin to change size and alter how they function. The snake's heart rate increases by 40% and its liver doubles in size. The kidneys also increase in size by 72%. The python will then flood its small intestine with an extremely powerful acid to break down its meal, while its metabolic rate increases by around 40 times. Basically, imagine if you ate a giant chicken dinner and then your heart got 40% bigger so that you could deal with digesting it. Snakes are pretty incredible animals. Number 5. Ostrich junk. It's no secret that birds will eat basically anything. They aren't the most discreet or picky animals on the planet. One particular ostrich actually had its diet immortalised when a photographer at the Zoological Society of London took a snapshot of the contents of its stomach after it died. Ostriches typically just eat roots, seeds, flowers, and the occasional snake or lizard. But this ostrich had a hankering for fashion. Found inside the ostrich's stomach were 2 handkerchiefs, one of them being lace and extremely fancy, a single button glove, a length of rope, a few metal items, assorted coins, hooks, and even a 4-inch nail. We can assume that the fancy handkerchiefs were probably nipped off of the zoo visitors. As for the last item on the list, the 4-inch nail, you won't be surprised to find out that it was indeed the poor bird's cause of death. Of course, you're probably wondering who in these modern times is visiting a zoo with handkerchiefs. And let me clarify that this story comes to us from 1930, when everybody had handkerchiefs. Number 4. Frog rocks. It must be very uncomfortable to have a whole belly full of rocks. And if you were a frog, I imagine it would make your hopping very difficult. This is a story from 2014, when a pet frog from Texas swallowed 30 little rocks and found itself in a bit of a situation. The x-rays make it look like the frog was carrying a bunch of misshaped eggs, but they were in fact rocks. He ended up undergoing surgery at the local animal hospital and thankfully made it out all right. The x-ray of the frog and all the rocks in its belly was actually the winner in the Veterinary Practice News' annual They Ate What competition, and it helped the animal hospital where the frog got his surgery to take home the $1,500 prize. As for the frog, whose name was Kermit, there is no new information. We can only hope that the frog has learned its lesson and stopped eating rocks. Number 3. Trout eats thumb. A severed thumb found inside of a trout has been returned to its owner. And yes, this story is just as strange as it sounds. This happened in Wyoming quite some time ago in the 90s, but it's still gold. It all happened when a man dived off his boat to help a girl who had fallen into the water and may have been drowning. For this heroic act, he got a propeller to the hand. His thumb, index finger, and middle finger were all cut off. 2 of the fingers were located and reattached, but the other one remained missing for more than 6 months. It wasn't until the following winter that a fisherman hooked a trout and found the man's thumb inside its stomach. After a lot of calling back and forth, the owner was identified and alerted. According to the report from the Los Angeles Times, the owner was quoted as saying, "As soon as I saw it, I was pretty sure it was mine." That's a pretty bold thing to say, as I'm pretty sure I could not pick my thumb out of a lineup. But the good news is at least the guy got his thumb back from the greedy fish who ate it. The bad news is that it probably never got reattached considering it had been underwater for 6 months. Number 2. Tiger shark eats night. In the 16th century, sharks were known as sea dogs. Before we had any kind of technology to look below the waves and see what was really going on, people were actually terrified of the water. There were all kinds of superstitions and tales of monsters living in the depths of the world's oceans. And one of the most fearsome creatures was of course the shark. If you look back at some of the artistic publications from the 16th century of what sea creatures were supposed to look like, it's no wonder people were scared of them. Artist renderings of sharks made them look like absolute monsters. And then there is this story from 1554. According to the Smithsonian magazine, the French physician Guillaume Rondelet claimed that he found a shark with a full suit of armour still in its belly. Whether this is true or not is anyone's guess, but it's certainly not impossible. Number 1. All the eggs. The photo of the giant python with its belly cut open to reveal its eggs has been circling the internet and getting a lot of attention lately. The snake apparently comes from a village in Nigeria, where it was hunted down and killed after supposedly eating a farmer's calf. The local authorities assumed it was a snake that had eaten the calf, and so they found a very large python and cut it open to see what was in its belly. But rather than the lost farm animal, they instead found dozens and dozens of eggs. This poor snake hadn't been eating anybody's farm cows. It was just a pregnant snake trying to find a place to lay its eggs. Number 10. Aquarium of Western Australia. The Aquarium of Western Australia is one of the most impressive aquariums in the world. This place boasts over 40 different exhibits, including one of the biggest living coral reef exhibits on the entire planet. It's the largest aquarium in Australia and the 10th largest in the world. In total, this place holds over 4 million litres of water and is home to at least 4,000 fish. A journey to this place will give you a close-up view of giant sharks, manta rays, turtles, and you can even travel underwater through a huge 300-foot tunnel to witness the sea life swimming above you. There are at least 20 scheduled daily talks at the aquarium, and you will never run out of things to do. This place is located in Perth, and the main tank is over 130 feet long and 66 feet wide. For a special fee, snorkelers and divers are even able to join the aquarium's dive master and explore the main tank to meet fish, rays and sharks up close in person. A trip here is absolutely necessary on any visit to Australia. It's basically like you're living with the fish themselves. Number 9. Aquarium of Genoa. The Aquarium of Genoa is located in the old port of Genoa in Italy. In Italian, this place is known as Aquarium of Genoa. It was converted into a popular cultural site back in the 1990s, and currently it encompasses an enormous space with bars, shops, restaurants, a library, an ice rink, 4 museums, and a whole lot of ocean creatures. The area where the aquarium is located was once a secluded warehouse compound with basically no value to tourists. But the revamped area is now the 9th largest aquarium in the world and the most visited structure of its kind in all of Italy, attracting over 1 million visitors each year. The original aquarium has been built upon several times over and currently has a floor area of 290,000 square feet. It's built in 3 parts, with the main building, the floating pavilion, and a new floating pavilion built strictly for cetaceans. There is even a 4th spherical pavilion housing the aquarium's unique tropical biosphere. If you're wondering what exactly you can see in this great port aquarium, it features 70 tanks with a whole heap of different aquatic animals. The permanent exhibition is divided into a few key themes, including the Mediterranean Sea, brackish waters, tropical freshwater, tropical seas, and icy seas. Within these exhibits, you can find over 15,000 animals, including fish, birds, marine mammals, and amphibians. If you're looking for a fun and informative place to spend the day on your next trip to Italy, you definitely have to stop and check out the aquarium. It's simply magical. And now for number 8. But first, let me know if you have ever visited any of these aquariums in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. Number 8. Shanghai Ocean Aquarium. The Shanghai Ocean Aquarium is the 7th biggest aquarium in the world, and is located near the famous Oriental Pearl Tower in the Lujiazui Finance and Trade Zone. For being in the middle of a city, it's an extremely impressive place. It has the world's longest submarine viewing tunnel according to the Travel China Guide. The tunnel measures roughly 170 yards in total length. The aquarium itself consists of 2 pyramid-shaped buildings. There is a main building and an annex. The covered area is a total of 263,910 square feet. Along with the huge exhibition area, there is a big restaurant and of course a gift shop. And like other similar aquariums, the building is divided into different zones of exhibition. But they do it a little differently here. You have the China zone, the South America zone, the Africa zone, the Australia zone, the Southeast Asia zone, the Polar zone, and much more. There are over 15,000 different water creatures. Plus, this is one of the only aquariums that has some very rare fish species like special jellyfish and moonfish. The Shanghai Ocean Aquarium even exhibits the notorious poison dart frog, along with some emperor penguins. What's very cool about the Shanghai Ocean Aquarium is that it's the only aquarium on the planet that has a special China zone. That means that it specializes in exhibiting unique aquatic organisms from places like the Yangtze River and some other endangered species from China. For example, the giant salamander, the Chinese sturgeon, and the Yangtze alligator. Number 7. Ushaka Marine World. The Ushaka Marine World is the most impressive oceanarium in all of South Africa. It's located in Durban and is a world-class entertainment destination. The park spans over 15 hectares of prime beachfront, and it is the largest marine theme park on the continent of Africa. This place has it all. There is an amusement park, you have shopping for the whole family, a lot of beach to hang out on, and a shipwreck that the kids can enjoy. And of course, there are animals. You can frolic with dolphins, watch seals perform in the stadium, go on water rides, and check out the penguin rookery. This park incorporates freshwater and seawater, and by water volume is the 5th largest aquarium on the planet. Though keep in mind that this does have a lot to do with the fact that there are water rides. This is much more than just an aquarium, it's an entire marine world. There is a huge amount of retail space, and at the centre of it all there are indoor and outdoor displays, where you can see all of your favourite aquatic critters. There's even a large dolphin stadium, reefs to snorkel in, and opportunities to go scuba diving. You can jet ski, kite surf, paddleboard, and see some of the most terrifying sea snakes, sharks, and devil firefish in the Dangers of the Deep exhibit. And if you want to check out some of the coolest ocean fauna, simply head over to the impressive Coral Gardens. Number 6. Monterey Bay Aquarium. The Monterey Bay Aquarium in California is located on the site of what was once a sardine cannery. It's now one of the most impressive aquariums in the entire world. The aquarium definitely has some mind-blowing exhibits, but one of the best reasons to go is to see its 2 giant tanks. The second biggest is the Ocean's Edge Wing, with a tank that holds about 0.33 million gallons of water. Here you can view all the coastal marine life from California. The other tank is ridiculously huge. It's in the Outer Bay Wing and holds 1.2 million gallons of water, or 4.5 million litres, and it features one of the biggest single-paned windows in the entire world. Within these exhibits, you can see a ridiculous amount of sea life. Stingrays, sea otters, jellyfish, countless marine species, the list goes on and on. There are special tentacle exhibitions where you can journey into the world of undersea magicians and watch curious octopuses up close. There is an entire kelp forest for you to explore. You can watch the largest octopus in the world at peace inside of its giant glass cage. And you can even go onto the ocean viewing decks to keep watch for California's wildlife, such as the humpback whales that regularly visit the area. You can even see some very cool birds inside of its famous aviary. Number 5. Sea Life Istanbul. Sea Life Istanbul is one of the coolest places in the world. This aquarium opened its doors in 2009 as the first huge aquarium to feature a rainforest, a flooded forest, and a tropical sea zone. The aquarium itself is located inside a shopping mall in the middle of Istanbul and contains a huge underwater tunnel, roughly 250 feet long. There are over 15,000 sea creatures held here, including tiger sharks, piranhas, and giant stingrays. And with the inclusion of its huge ocean tank that holds 5 million litres of water, it's the 5th biggest aquarium on the planet. Some of the biggest highlights from Sea Life Istanbul include giant moray eels, the largest collection of sharks in Europe, the Turtle Hospital, and the ancient and mysterious Mata Mata turtle. They honestly have so much stuff here it's ridiculous. Hammerhead sharks, zebra sharks, sleepover events for the kids, shows from professional divers, and the biggest sea turtle in all of Europe, named Iggy. Number 4. L'Oceanographique. L'Oceanographique is another prime aquarium located in Europe. This oceanarium is situated near the centre of Valencia in Spain, and there are a lot of different marine habitats represented here. The building was designed by a famous architect named Felix Candela, with the aquarium being integrated inside of the cultural complex of arts and sciences. It opened back in 2003 and is currently the largest complex of its kind in all of Europe. It holds a capacity of 11 million gallons of water. There is even a dolphinarium that contains 6.9 million gallons and a special ocean tank that contains 1.8 million gallons. While most of the aquariums we've talked about so far are home to between 10,000 and 15,000 different fish, Spain's aquarium is home to a jaw-dropping 45,000 animals from a minimum of 500 different species. You simply can't believe the kinds of fish you're going to see in this aquarium. There are sand tigers in the ocean tank, there's a beluga whale in the Arctic tank, and there is so much more. I'm talking reptiles, sea lions, walruses, and everything else you can think of. This place is like heaven for ocean lovers. But there are some pretty cool educational exhibits as well, like the mangrove swamps and the marshlands, plus the garden that contains over 80 unique species of plants. The entire place inhabits 9 different 2-tiered underwater towers which represent all the major ecosystems of the Earth. This includes the Arctic oceans, the Mediterranean habitats, the tropics, the temperate seas, and the Red Sea. The aquarium even works by utilising seawater, which is pumped in from the nearby beach. Number 3. Okinawa Chiromi Aquarium. The third biggest aquarium in the world, and perhaps one of the coolest aquariums that has ever been constructed, is located in Okinawa, Japan. It's called the Chiromi Aquarium, and it is considered to be the best aquarium in all of Japan. It's the main attraction at the Ocean Expo Park, which happens to be located on the former grounds of the International Ocean Expo from 1975. After the original expo, the aquarium was redesigned from the bottom up and reopened in 2002. It's now a huge and colourful place filled with some of the most striking wildlife you have ever seen. It contains one of the largest tanks in the world, known as the Kuroshio tank, which holds almost 2 million gallons of water. Inside this giant tank you will find a plethora of beautiful animals, including giant whale sharks and enormous manta rays. This aquarium is spread across 3 floors and it includes some of the coolest stuff you have ever seen. Immediately upon entering the aquarium, you can touch living starfish and seashells inside a special open tank exhibit. You can see one of the largest exhibitions of living coral, you can watch feeding shows that are held twice daily, and you can go to the high-definition movie theatre to learn more about the marine life of Okinawa and the rest of Japan. Some of the other cool things you can find at this aquarium include marine life from extremely deep waters with a lot of different types of bioluminescent fish. There are outdoor pools, animal shows with manatees, sea turtles and dolphins. Honestly, the list goes on and on. This is not a place you want to miss if you're in Okinawa. Number 2. Dubai Mall Aquarium. It should come as no surprise that the second largest aquarium in the world is located in Dubai, where everything is huge and over the top. It should also not be a surprise that this huge aquarium is located inside of the Dubai Mall, which is one of the largest and most extravagant shopping centres on the planet. Even the mall itself is located within the Burj Dubai complex, which costed somewhere around $20 billion to make. The Dubai Aquarium and Underwater Zoo is home to at least 140 different species of aquatic animals, including over 400 sharks and rays, 33,000 living animals, and so much more. The centerpiece is the tank that holds 2.64 million gallons of water, or 10 million litres. Inside the tank you will find sand tiger sharks and giant groupers. This tank holds a Guinness World Record for having the largest acrylic panel in the world. This means it has the biggest window on any aquarium ever. Its panel measures 27 feet by 108 feet and is 30 inches thick. Interestingly enough, in February of 2010, this tank actually sprung a leak and caused a massive evacuation and a short shutdown of the entire mall. Imagine 10 million litres crashing down on an audience of 1,000 or 2,000 people. It would be an actual disaster. Number 1. The Georgia Aquarium. Finally, we have made it to the end. The Georgia Aquarium is the biggest aquarium in the world. It doesn't matter how you measure it, in every way the Georgia Aquarium is bigger. It has more fish, it has more water, and it has more species. This place is home to 100,000 fish, more than 1 million cubic feet of water, over 500 species, 60 different habitats, and 12,000 square feet of viewing windows. And it only cost them around $300 million to make. This aquarium is quite a bit different than what you might be used to. It has 5 different galleries arranged around a central atrium. Within the galleries are all kinds of different animals, including the regulars like whales and sharks, otters and electric eels, crabs and fish, and even some cute seahorses and sea stars. To build such a monstrosity of an aquarium, and I mean that in the best way possible, How Stuff Works has reported that the aquarium used 328 tons of acrylic windows, 290 plumbing fixtures, 1.5 miles of underground pipe, 5.5 miles of above-ground pipe, 61 total miles of pipe and wire, and over 100,000 yards of concrete. That is no easy building task. The largest habitat, which is called the Ocean Voyager tank, holds 3/4 of the total water in the aquarium. The tank is 263 feet long, 126 feet wide, and 33 feet deep. Inside this tank is 6 million gallons of water. That's nearly triple the amount of water inside the Dubai Mall Aquarium. If you could visit any of these aquariums, which one would you choose? Which one is your favourite? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. See you again soon for another fun video.